Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the zoo. The minions with me tonight are SoraLuna.
Good evening.
JenTMaxi.
Hello.
Adam.
Greetings.
Traveling exhibit, CharmingCthulhu.
Top of the morning to you, laddies.
And as it is a Friday and we've already transitioned over to the new schedule, of course, I'm the keeper for the night, Sanguine. How are all of you doing tonight?
Splendid.
That's good to hear.
I'm glad it's Friday.
Yep. Though for me, Fridays are my Sundays.
Oh,
Because I get
sadness.
back into work tomorrow night.
Well, I don't.
Yep. For all of you that Fridays are actually your Fridays, enjoy your coming weekend.
Oh,
I
wish.
also have a long weekend this weekend, so I am triply happy.
Very nice.
Yeah, those are nice sometimes.
Eat.
Sora, we have to have a chat. Now, I realize you have no control over this because you're in the part of BC who really has no control over this, but this being on fire all the time and sharing your smoke with us all the time, I feel like we need to charge you for it.
Well, I mean, you guys are going, aren't you guys going anti-vax, anti-mask at the government level? So I think that's fair play.
Whoa.
I don't know. I don't know.
I
don't know, Sora.
code
Do
red.
you know how much smoke you guys are sharing? It's like a pack and a half. Come on.
Sharing is caring.
A pack and a half. Do you know how much that costs? That cost me almost $40.
Okay,
Give me a break.
hold on. Wait,
Yeah, that's
wait,
even more in
please.
prison too.
Whoa. First off, this is an American show. So you can
Really?
keep your-
Oh, don't get me
I
wrong,
didn't see
Adam. We are
anything
sharing our
anywhere.
smoke with you.
you
Do
can
not
keep
think you
your-
guys are breathing in our smoke because we are sharing it with you too.
Well, I ain't smelling it over here in Illinois, so it's not my problem.
The north of my state's getting hit by it, if I remember correctly.
No, just open a window. Come
You
on.
know what?
Hey.
You know what's the worst part of it though? Is not even the good
Wear a
smoke.
mask.
It's always tree smoke. It's never the pot smoke. You're always like thinking, why can't you just burn the parts of the where they have the hidden pot fields? You know?
Amen.
They're not
Well,
hidden
smoke
anymore.
eventually becomes smoke. So I mean, if it gets big enough that it's gonna reach places, it's gonna be not something you want to be around.
And tree smoke is lovely as long as you're burning the right sorts of wood. It's just when you
They have
that
nice
much
trees.
of a weird
Cedars.
combo, it ends up being this. Okay, I'm getting some cedar. I'm getting some. I'm just getting way too many
Oh,
smoke.
come on. Okay, so now you're painting a picture of some like druids sitting somewhere in the middle of a forest that are decided to burn a large pile of potpourri, and all of a sudden it's just like just wafted around, let everybody sniff it.
Patchouli.
Listen, I don't know about you guys. I own a pig farm right on the border, and you damn near turned my pigs into jerky. So whatever you guys are doing up there, I don't know. I know Canada's weird, but you just gotta cut it out.
Damn,
I don't know.
Canucks can turn
Having-
pigs to jerky
I'll
in an
see what I
instant?
can do.
I was
What's
about
going
to
on?
say having pre-smoked bacon does not sound like a bad thing.
I'm more
Yeah, they all
interested in
smell
how
really
they do
good,
it
but-
so quickly. Wait, does it smell?
Yeah, you never smelled a pre-butchered smoked pig?
I think that would be distinct between that and forest fire. I would at least hope.
They smell about the same, honestly.
No.
Depends how many forest pigs are in that forest.
Forest fire is starting to smell really good.
Yeah, hold on. In Seattle, there is a patch of woods that is a 100-year or 1,000-year fucking landscape of pig woods. There's giant mile thick trees made of pig. When you burn them, they smell like bacon.
Tasting my drink
Whoa.
for the night, which I said to those that are on stream with me, I'm currently drinking a bottle of black currant wine. I think this deserves being poured into my drinking horn.
Ah, well, hey,
Cheers.
yeah. salute.
Cheers!
I cheers you with my organic apricot ale by Samuel Smith.
Good old Sammy Smith.
Mm-hmm.
He rode that horse and lit lanterns and.
So the best thing about my drinking horn is it holds an entire bottle.
Oh, nice.
And if anyone asks, you say it's just one drink.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't even refill my drink. It's just the same cup as before.
Or you could say it's just one horn. Hey, where did you get the horn from?
The drinking horn, it was a either Christmas or birthday gift from ages ago.
Oh,
It isn't a true horn because it isn't made out of horn.
I thought it was
I'm
a
going
other
to
sword.
get a true horn before too much longer. But yeah, this one is the DOS horn. Which, here, let me see if I can pull it up so you can see what it looks like.
well, shit. I mean, you live close enough to the Ren Fair in Wisconsin, right?
I have a couple Ren fairs that I'm near, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess the further north you go, you might, stumble upon it. But no, for us, the last one I went to, I wanted to get a horn drinking vessel, and I didn't get one. But I did mine.
Yeah, my drinking horn comes with a handy-dandy little stand, as well as it came with a sling for me to hang it around my neck if I so chose.
Well, I mean, if you're holding
What
a
do we have
bottle,
to say? We have to say skull, right? Is that the right cheers?
Skull. That's
I'm gonna use a drinking horn.
And
that's like the Viking thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm picturing him picking up a flask and then slamming it onto the ground and breaking it.
so this isn't me, of course, because this guy is tiny, but it's a picture that actually gives you some sort of scale because it's the same sort of drinking horn that I have and a man's torso. So it will give you a decent image of the size, though compared to me, it is nowhere near that large.
It looks like those frozen margarita things you get in Las Vegas. You just need a straw, and you can live your best Karen or Becky life on vacation.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. My aunt has one of
Maybe
those.
umbrella.
Those big giant wine goblets. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Not to
That is-
besmirch the drinking horn.
that is the same sort of drinking horn that I have, and that's the one that I'm currently downing my bottle of black currant wine out of.
That sounds delicious.
See, but
Oh,
I don't
it
know
is
if it's
lovely.
still there, but the vodka slushies, that was a thing. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
It sucks that last year the state fair didn't go off, but I'm looking forward to being able to go to it again this year, especially since every year my state fair has a series of interesting alcoholic drinks that it produces just for the fair.
Oh yeah.
Some of them are just, oh my fucking god. Like they had I think it was a peanut butter chocolate stout that they turned into a float.
Ooh.
So really good vanilla ice cream bobbing in chocolate peanut butter stout. Just, oh my god, it was amazing.
I'll take your word for it. I like peanut butter. I like Reese's Cups or similar by other brands. It's just not enough to also want it in my beer.
I don't know. I've never had a good vanilla porter or vanilla stout. I just can't get behind any of that. And I'm like a huge vanilla fan too. But I mean, honestly, I don't know. I stopped drinking craft beers. I just switched to Smirnoff Ice again.
It's
I just
Oh
want
my
back.
god. Are you a 15-year-old girl in disguise?
Yeah, I asked my senior boyfriend to buy it for me too.
He didn't go for
I-
White Claw. He's
Smirnoff Ice. Oh my god, that brings back all the memories. And I mean,
Yeah.
I was 100% 19 or 21 or whatever age is legal drinking age in your town.
Yeah, like my last memories of
In
drinking
your
that
area.
shit was the last time I
Yeah.
puked drinking that shit, and that's pretty much how most drinking ends with certain flavors. You
Oh,
puke
God.
it once, and you're like, no.
yeah. when it
I
comes-
love that stuff so much. It's so good. It's just pure sugar, though.
Yeah.
I liked Mike's Hard a little bit better because it was legit more lemon juice for Mike's,
Mm.
but
Yeah.
I liked both. Like if I didn't have Mike's, I was okay with Smirnoff Ice, but
What's the other? There's Smirnoff Ice. There's another one.
Four Loco.
That I
No,
never
that's
got to
not the
try.
one
They
that
banned
she's
it.
thinking.
What? I thought Four Loco was supposed to be like
I thought they
like
banned it because
alcohol mixed
caffeine?
with energy drink or something.
Yeah,
Like
it's
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 beers worth of alcohol and energy drink.
they kill a couple kids. I don't know.
that. Yeah,
Like
that's-
stop their hearts for a little bit.
well, population control one way or another. I mean, if your kids are that dumb, like I don't know.
Bacardi Breezers. That was the
Oh,
other
yeah.
one. Smirnoff Ice, Bacardi Breezers. Those were the drinks of choice.
I'm gonna bring that back, and I'm gonna reformat it. You know how they have those like wrap snacks?
Mhm.
I'm gonna make one, but the wrap drinks, and it's gonna be called the Cardi Beezers.
Just make you want to mug a man for.
Yeah,
For
bro. Yeah,
cash.
handcuff him and take his watch.
Since we're still sort of on food talky talk, Mr. Yes here in the chat has asked if have we tried flan, and then Sanguine, do you have
Oh.
any good flan recipes if you have any?
Ew.
I
Flan.
have
Oh,
tried
flan is so
flan.
good.
I have tried flan. It is rather lovely. I do not have a flan recipe off the top of my head, though.
Oh God, hold on, Jen, please.
Hmm?
What is your stance on flan?
On flan, I've never had flan. I would like to
It's
try
so
it.
good.
Then she's on my side.
I just
It's
haven't
so
tried
good.
it yet. Like I've seen I've seen it in a lot of anime. I've seen it on videos and stuff. I just haven't tried it. But it's also not an easy one to make. Like it takes a little bit of practice to do.
Bain Marie.
Yeah, if you bake it too long, it tastes like eggs.
Yeah, you need the Bain Marie in order to regulate the temperature.
So I'm not
Even
opposed
if
to
you-
trying it,
even
but
if you cook it right, it tastes.
It
Well,
tastes
it's
like
custard.
heaven.
It's a custard. It's a
Like
it's a
fluffy
caramel
heaven.
custard.
And
Yeah, if it-
anyone else slightly convinced that Adam is just scarred from Final Fantasy, and that's one of the reasons why he doesn't like flan?
Hey, you know what? Okay, so what was the Final Fantasy enemy that depicted from onions? Get out of here with that thesis. Come
There
on.
were.
Was there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there were effectively sentient onions. It was
Mhm.
either in Final
No, there
Fantasy
wasn't.
or it was in Dragon Quest.
Okay, you know what? Let's get back to the.
What about the
topic
little
at
green
hand.
guys with the lamp? That's what I
Like-
think of when I
Oh,
think of onion.
Cactico?
The cacti.
No, not-
or
No, not cactar. The little green guys where they poke you with their knife, you like die. You get like 9.
Tonberries.
Tom.
Yes, tomberries. Yes.
Ah.
Heh, better than dingleberries.
I thought they were. I thought
The same level of threat.
I thought he was a gecko or like a little lizard. Like he's a little lizard guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, he probably is.
he wasn't really an onion. but-
He was so
He's not
cute
really
though.
an onion.
I always whenever he popped up, I was just like, I really don't want you to stab me. I just kind of want to give you a hug because you're so cute.
Oh, and
Please don't stab me. Just slowly walking towards you with a knife. I'm gonna risk it this time. Oh, not again.
flan always looks kind of weird. There's no way around it. It always looks kind of weird because it's jiggly. It has that. Most flans are that pale off-white.
Mhm.
And then like a nice
Flan
brown at the
has
bottom
jiggle
where it was
physics.
baking.
Yeah.
Oh,
it just this very weird looking thing, but yeah, they taste rather lovely. It's kind of like the vast majority of curries aren't going to win any awards for looks, But oh my god, the flavor of curries.
And neither are they for bathroom maintenance. You know, are there any
Not
good
all
curry
curries are
restaurants near you, or do you normally make them yourself?
Well, I do have an Indian place that does curries, after just mentioning Indian curries being the ones that cause diarrhea. But I also make a number of different types of curries from scratch. So, well, mostly from scratch. One's not really technically from scratch since I'm using Japanese curry roux, but yeah, I absolutely love curries. And I
That's
wish
awesome.
that there was a place that did Japanese curries near me because, oh,
Sorry, that gave me flashbacks to that beef Wellington, because yes, he did put chili and cheese into it too.
Well, and a beef Wellington, chili and cheese and a beef
Yum.
Wellington. That's insane. Was it good
Nothing
though?
like gas store station beef Wellington.
Hey, can I add to the gossip? Have you guys seen Weibo's chili recipe? Apparently, it's just ground beef, spices, and wait, I think that's it. Because
Beans.
oh yeah, beans.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. I mean, it's not necessarily good chili, but a lot of people do that.
Well, what the hell? No, you're supposed to have like tomatoes and maybe a little bit of green peppers and red peppers.
Ooh.
yeah, you
Eh?
need some good peppers that you need to cook
Onions.
off.
Why the hell would you say onions? Who would add onions?
Yo, who doesn't put onions in chili? Look, you're putting bell peppers in there, and that's completely
Adam.
throwing off that deep flavor. You're going for something deep and meaty, and then the peppers,
Said.
they raise it back up. But I do understand that flavor profile, and it can be good.
No. Onions, but you have to get them nice and caramelized.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yes.
Garlic too. I like adding garlic too.
Yep. A
Yes.
good hit
You know
of
what?
garlic.
If the onions
mushrooms,
were French onions, I think I might concur.
Mushrooms do add to the texture. That is a good idea.
I would
So
put mushrooms
there
in
is
there.
one of the ferries here. If you go out to the Sunshine Coast, there the ferry terminal over there, they have this little
Makes sense
the
that the ferries would be going to the Sunshine Coast.
well
Oh wait, we were talking boats, not my mistake.
Sunshine
Us
Coast.
Americans
is
don't
that's the name of an
understand
area.
ferries as much.
Okay.
Yeah. We're landlocked.
Oh, it clicked. It just clicked. Sorry, Sanguine.
It was a bad joke, but I had to go for it.
I'm a couple pints in. So there's like you know how you have like your in the ferry terminal you usually have kiosks with food or whatever, and then this particular one, because it's so small, it's a little like mom and pop place, and you know they have your basic they'll make you some sandwiches fresh, they have some baked goods, all standard stuff, good, reliable, standard. However, they have this turkey chili. I will eat it on the hottest day of the year if that place is open and they're serving it, because it is just superb. And I am not a big fan of turkey, ground turkey, luncheon meat, whatever. it's not a taste I much care for. But they manage with the spices and everything, because it's like a stew. Once you put all the stuff together, it imbues flavor, right? So it's like, oh my god, the chili. And then they serve it. So they put it in the takeout container. Then they put a slice of cheese on top of it. So by the time you get to your car, the cheese has melted. Mm-hmm. So when you start eating it, it is just gooey cheese goodness for the first few bites or longer, depending if you want to mix it in. It's just like the best $8 or whatever it is that it costs. And it's just, it is so good.
What kind of cheese do they put on top?
I'm not sure. It's something... I'm not actually quite sure what it is. It's a bit flavorful. It's not cheddar.
Is it a marbled or a stock?
It might be a marble one. It's just, it looks like a pre-sliced, but it's not American cheese, like sliced American cheese, like, because it's an actual, like, you taste it,
like
tastes
a
like cheese.
Monterey
It doesn't taste
Jack?
like milk byproducts.
It doesn't taste like freedom.
because Monterey
It
Jack
takes a
is
feeling, no.
fairly standard.
Yeah, and it doesn't have any holes in it, so it's not in the Swiss family. Like I
No,
was
it's
thinking,
not.
like,
It's
yeah.
Is it? But it's not bland like a mozzarella or a provolone tends to be. It tastes like cheese, but it's not cheddar. I can't remember. I'm sure it's a
maybe it was a Monterey. Yeah, Monterey. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see
Yeah.
Monterey.
Probably a Monterey Jack, and
If
they
you'd said something
straight
creamy,
up.
I might have mentioned like certain Goudas are like that. Like certain Goudas can take
Oh,
the place
dude.
of a.
But you wouldn't throw Gouda
Gouda's
in
so
a
good.
chili.
You can.
could.
Depends on the Gouda. Depends on the Gouda.
Yeah, like a smoked Gouda, that'd be pretty good. Also,
Oh,
it
get
depends.
outta
Yeah,
here.
it does depend on the chili, really.
Now you're
Yeah.
now
Oh,
you're
rhymes.
walking into
I
whatever kind of
overate
cheese you want to add.
smoked Gouda.
You want to add feta cheese into a chili? Why? Go ahead.
Oh,
Hold
that
on.
No, I
would be
would do
good.
feta.
Hold on,
I
hold
don't
on,
know
hold
that I
on.
would do
Firm,
feta.
like a
hold
really
on.
dry
Yeah.
feta,
Oh,
like a very
jeez.
crumbly one.
Hold on.
Well, that's
Can we
just-
roll it back real quick? What you described, it did sound. It did sound like a stew. So what makes a chili then?
It's the spice mixture.
Just the spice
Chilies-
mixture.
Yeah,
So it has to
chilies are
taste like a
effective-
chili spice.
Chilies are effectively a spicy stew. But
Yeah,
they
make your
have to
tummy
be,
feel full.
they have to
nice
have
and
a
warm.
certain flavor profile in order to count as a chili. So you
And what
can
would
have
the
spicy
spices entail?
you can have spicy stew that isn't a chili, but if it is like ancho or chipotle or effectively very standard Southwest American spices in something will make it a chili rather than just a spicy stew, because you can have rather spicy stews from other regions. Like there's
yeah, I was gonna say,
a-
like, don't they have peppers grown in India? Don't they
Yep.
get? Would they be able to make a chili, like an Indian chili?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
shit!
they-
Hold
they-
on!
they
Whoa!
have
Hold on!
some.
Whoa!
Yeah.
That we're opening a whole can of beans.
they they could effectively spoof a chili with native grown spices, but again, I would say that the difference is it's what spices
can
are
of
thrown
beans.
in, whether or not it's a chili or a spicy stew. Like I have a spicy fish stew that is absolutely, or seafood stew that is absolutely amazing.
So
I would
maybe
not
it would
consider
be
it a
would it-
stew, though.
but
Or I
would
would not consider it a chili, though.
so then would it be a regional thing? Much
Yeah,
like
it's see
Louisiana cuisine is different from French
Creole.
cuisine,
Yeah,
even though they may share similar ingredients and or preparations. Much like
it's also a
this-
cultural thing too, where it's like it's kind of like the roots of the food for how it developed. A lot of, I mean, nowadays you'd be kind of hard pressed to find like a new style of cuisine, right? Because the way that all the older, like, right, Creole is a great example. Like growing up, going through the 1800s as like Louisiana was being developed, they didn't have, you know, modern day fast instant second connection with the outside world, so they basically made everything up as they went along, and it turned out beautifully. Not to mention like a clash of all the different cultures, you know, from Spanish, French, and then what's it,
native.
like escaped slaves or previous slavery, like soul food.
Yeah,
You know?
from the islands. Yes, sir. You got to remember this. It's easy to look at history and just kind of sugarcoat it all over food content.
Adam,
But it's
Adam, why is
Oh,
it gotta
God.
be history? Why can't it be her story?
Oh, explain that, misogynist.
Well, look, my first name is Mister. Okay, so obviously,
I'm triggered.
My-
You offend me.
oh jeez,
Well, if you look at it, it isn't as bloody as her story would be. Given that when
But,
you have a female, given that when you have a female ruler for a nation, there has been a trend that it does become
buddy.
Or
Damn, what was
conflict-ridden. Let's phrase it that way.
Okay, well,
What
let's
was
look at
the-
bonobos. Okay, let's talk about bonobos here because another human-like family of
So you just want to
creatures,
fuck in order to solve your problems?
and then have other monkey tribes come in and take over because they have a stronger. Anyway, no, let's not talk about bonobos actually because I have a better example. France. Now, some people say, "Oh, the Queen of
you say?
England."
France is a better example.
Well,
The
I mean,
bonobos?
look, right? So one of the most famous lines in history is "Let them eat cake," which roughly
You said you're
translates to
bitches.
eat. Yeah, exactly. You know, she probably said something along the lines of like, "We'll tell them to eat the crumbs of whatever," because she didn't care about them. But you got to admit, very strong ruler until her eventual overthrow. Now, that wasn't a good example either. So I'm going to kick it back to you, Adam.
Like I said, there's a noted uptick in violent conflict under female rule historically.
Oh, aha! Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, invited millions of migrants from a war-torn country and saw her crime rate. Ah, shit! Not again! Damn it! Hold on, let me look up some examples.
Effectively, you're going to be down to the Iron Lady, and even the Iron Lady had to deal with the Troubles.
Joan of Arc.
Entirely
pretty
during a wartime.
Yeah, she was also murdered. Well, you know, maybe we're just not there yet as a society. So maybe, you know, we're all good. We're all good. Anyway,
Yeah, I always admired Boadicea, but honestly, her ending isn't any different.
Boudica, you mean?
Boudica, yeah. Yeah. Just because she was cool. I mean, she did go out with flame and yeah, you know, you rate my dollars, and so I sliced off your head. So
oh Lord.
fair share.
Well, I mean,
I mean, and she did it to the Romans for as long as she did. So like, fair enough.
in all
Lady
honesty, she
Bathory
really
was
did
also-
prove that Roman resolve and their stubbornness and sticking to their strict legionary tactics, they were able to hold the ground. So yeah,
Oh well, yeah,
no,
of course they
Boudica,
did. Of course they
yeah.
did. You know, they did win. I'm not saying they didn't, but like they fair enough. She still held them off for
Well-
as long as she did, and she still did what she did. So
No,
like,
she caused a lot of trouble for sure, but
No,
eventually,
eventually,
she was
eventually the Romans won, but it did show that when the Roman command structure ossified,
yep.
that was rather dangerous because Rome came to power due to its highly modular and low-level command structure. There's a
Low-level
fantastic
command structure for their outskirts.
low-level.
Well, not only
command
that, but
structure
militarily as well.
because
Yeah, like we still have sergeants and stuff like that to this day, where we have
Yep.
lower level troops commanding lower level troops, and it's really, really cool seeing how far we've come, and we still keep the
And
tradition.
when you allow that fluidity at the low levels, when you have the overarching plan of, yes, we're going to be moving troops in this fashion, but then the immediate command decision is made at that lowest level, where it is the sergeant, or in the Roman equivalent, which had larger unit sizes, being the centurion. You had a very dynamic force that was an absolute son of a bitch to deal with. Because there was a battle really early on in Roman history. I'm trying to remember the exact battle name, but I can't pull it out of my memory, where it was effectively Italian phalanx. It was before the entire unification of Rome. So there were still the proto-Roman states, and there was the group that would become Rome, having the centurion model. versus the other group that had the phalanx model.
You're talking about where they fought on a hill, and one general took it upon himself to move his company to a different position, wherein they
and where the Centurions were also taking it upon themselves to kind of rearrange at that century level, because
kind
century
of the
just means
proto
100 years ago.
checkerboard situation type of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was the Roman model, what came to be the Roman model, of the Centurion leading his century, where I think it's century was the proper way of phrasing it. His section of the Quincus formation, or Quincus formation rather, and it was that side that ended up absolutely stuffing the other side, because while the other side had the same sort of stout determination, because they were the same peoples, just two different leaders for the same peoples, effectively.
Okay.
They had the same rigid determination. They had the same sort of morale component. But it was the phalanx model fell apart because it relied on more oversight from the command staff than the Roman model, because the Roman model was almost endlessly modular.
Yeah, and once you get to the sides of the rear of a phalanx, you're pretty much gonna have some damage on them.
Yep. And the phalanx does have its advantages. There's a reason why it dominated war for as long as it did. And while it
Mechadon.
somewhat had a resurgence with the Renaissance and post-Renaissance Pike Square.
Yes. Once the the tide of battle turned more towards arquebusiers and cavaliers, pikes became an integral part of the army.
Yeah.
Or as
Pike
some
Square-
people like to call it in the Total War community, the noob box.
Yeah, Pike Squares were an absolute son of a bitch to face in battle, because pretty much the only way that you could take out a Pike Square was
Damn it!
From-
Now you're reminding me of Waterloo.
from range with overwhelming firepower, or just absolute fucking meat grinder Pike Square against Pike Square. And due to the meat grinder nature, most people did not want to go Pike Square against Pike Square. And yes, with the English and their thin red line, which, god damn, that took balls of steel to do.
Oh, he poked me into squabbly bits, isn't it?
Do, other than Adam, do the rest of you know what the thin red line was?
I would like to learn.
I would like to learn. I always like to
Yeah.
learn.
So, the Napoleonic method was these massive columns, effectively. Just these blocks of people that would absolutely grind the shit out of fucking every army that they went against. Because you might be able to kill the first line, and the second line, and the third line. There's 27 more. How many lines will you fucking kill before this column of people just crushes you? So, the English, well, it wasn't really the English that came up with the strategy, but it was the English that were able to actually implement the strategy. And like I said, it took fucking balls of steel. Because rather than kind of grouping up their men in columns or in blocks, the English spread their men out in, I want to say it was a 2 to 3 man thick line. Ridiculously thin front. But all of the first line, which was like a half to a third of the force, could fire in the first volley. load,
Whoa.
and as the second line fired, first line stood back up after reloading, fired, second line stood up, fired, first line stood up, fired, but you were only 2 or 3 lines deep. So, if there was a breach of the line, you were fucked. But as long as you kept your morale up, you kept your iron determination, and you kept firing, you could rip through the column. And that was what the English did in order to defeat the column. They effectively just had this wide front that kind of bowed around the column and fired at it from effectively 3 sides at once. As the column would take out a chunk of the line would shrink back up, it would take out a chunk, shrink back up, and those men would just keep on loading, reloading, fire, loading, reload, fire, load, reload, fire. Cutting down the column.
Creating a kill zone.
Yep.
Kind of why we eventually find our fortresses and cities covered with like a star-shaped.
Yep, the star fort.
Yeah, the fortification. It doesn't matter how you advance on that city. You're going to be facing fire from
at least 3 sides.
Yeah, it's not going to be you're not standing face to face. But again, that's Napoleonic Wars, and then you move into the Civil War, and you see where that's all.
Actually, Romans did that sooner. A lot of their older cities didn't just have stars; like they had multiple star walls. Like like
the three layer. Yeah,
it's always been a thing. Yeah. It's always been a thing that what's better than one wall. Multiple walls.
Well, just hey, you want a prime example of that? Look at the siege of Jerusalem. Shit.
Yeah, they just walked around the walls until it fell.
No. It was. Damn it!
I was thinking of VeggieTales.
I want to say the second siege from Romans to Jerusalem because they did it. They did it at least 3 times, I believe.
Yeah.
But there was the second one where they went all the way where they fought all the way to the Tabernacle, and it was just it was bad.
Or another really good example of just an absolute fucking meat grinder due to how the walls were set up is I'm trying to remember the name of the battle. It was effectively Cromwell's first siege defeat in Ireland. And I can't remember which battle it is off the top of my head. But the city that he was sieging was surrounded on, I think, 3 sides by swamp.
Nope.
And it had a wall around the entire city. But what they did that fucked up Cromwell was Cromwell had a really good strategy for breaking a city.
Hold on. Before you advance to the city, let me just inject a little levity. So the king from Monty Python actually did build a kingdom on a swamp.
Yep. Yeah. It was effectively that kingdom. But Cromwell, in order to break a city, would have a rule that he needed to breach the walls in at least 2 locations. And ideally, it would be 2 locations that were not on the same side of the city. So he would want to breach like the front and back of the city, or the left side and the right side of the city, or the left side and the front of the city. Any combination of those. But due to the way that the swamp surrounded the city, he couldn't breach multiple sides at the same time without subjecting his men to absolute fucking hell. No one wants to fight in a swamp other than the people that already live there. If you're
Go Gators.
If you're fighting in a swamp that you don't live in, it is a hellish fucking time.
Yeah.
Throughout all of history, it is a hellish goddamn time.
Well,
So-
marching through a swamp in armor is,
Yep.
you know, that's drowning sentence.
Yep. So
Yeah.
Cromwell
True.
pierced the same wall of the city, and I think it was 6 or 7 locations, because he went, we have to pierce the same side. We aren't just going to pierce it in 2, we're going to pierce it in a fuck ton more. And what the
Yeah.
Irish did when a section of the wall started being focused was they went, okay, they're attacking this section. They knocked down buildings and built a second wall, just
Oh,
chopping the section of the wall that was about to fall. That was made
God, I love whatever my ancestors were hopefully there on
Yeah.
like four lines down. Let's
It
go
was
American
made-
Mutts. Woo!
It was made much shorter than the outward wall, so you wouldn't be able to see it from the outside. And Cromwell, after breaching the wall in several locations, ordered the charge. So his men charged into the breaches of the wall, and they found out that they're in a box. Because the fucking Irish had knocked down buildings and made goddamn walls just right behind the section of the wall that they had taken out.
Oh, they fucking would.
That's fucking epic, dude.
So it became an absolute savage meat grinder because Cromwell was commanding from the outside. So he just kept on ordering people into the breaches. The people in the breaches were now getting just crammed in and slaughtered by the defenders on the shorter inner wall. It is ridiculously deadly when you end up in that situation.
Damn.
And like I said, it was damn near a box, but it wasn't quite a box because they had widened it out, so it was almost like a semicircle, so that you wouldn't quite have a line of fire that would directly cross through.
Well, I mean, it even so, it kind of resembles how the Romans subdued Carthage elephant advance. I don't know why I read that as a robot, but
Almost
way-
Shatnered it.
yeah, because I'm trying to. Was it from the elephants or because it's fusing? Was it the elephants or was it the chariots? I don't think it was the chariots.
Are you talking about when they had their line
And then they would
suddenly
fall
open up?
back, into like little grooves to try
Yeah.
and trick the elephants, or the because elephants and horses, they tend to wanna. They don't. That's why the square formation works. The horses will not run into a wall.
Mm-hmm.
Same with elephants.
Not to mention a
And-
spiky wall.
Yeah, well, definitely. But I
with-
think like I've let me make a confession, ladies and gentlemen of the evening. I've had a few drinks of
You're
Kraken
fine.
rum and a few puffs of smoke of the marijuana variety, so my brain might not function 100% properly. But
No worries, I just
I'm
slammed a
trying my
bottle
best.
of blackcurrant wine.
oh,
Let's go sober October, baby.
But yeah, what you're talking about is the Roman approach to dealing with elephants, if I'm not mistaken, because the
that'll
elephants
crazy.
could actually be goaded into charging a line. And if they charged a line, absolute havoc, because you aren't going to stop a fucking elephant. And if the elephant decides to slam you with its tusk, you go fucking flying and you're a broken heap at the end of your flight.
Mhm.
Yo, dude, not to mention they had those mounts for the ends of the tusks, like the big blades.
Yep.
It was fucking terrifying, dude. Those things are
Well,
huge.
Yeah, yeah,
And if you
because
stab it, it gets pissed.
Yeah, well,
So-
they shake their heads back and forth. That's how they kind of.
Yep. So what the Romans did was when the elephant charged a section of line, that section of line would just disappear in front of the elephant. And by disappear, I mean it would immediately, that entire block of men would open in front of the elephant. Let the elephant continue its run through, because it takes a little bit of time to turn an elephant. And as the elephant just runs through this now open gap, because the men could move much faster than the elephant, the men closest to the elephant would start stabbing the fucker, and the men just outside of stabbing range of the elephant would immediately start chucking pila at it.
Yeah, they got 3 of them. Give them one.
Yep. So you would have the elephants charge the line. Everything would disappear in front of the elephant. They'd just go, fuck this. We're not going to stand in front of it. Move to the side and then just start chucking shit at the elephant.
And
elephant.
The men on the elephant.
You got to remember that the elephant attack would have been the shock attack. It was designed to try and rout a lot of the units of the enemy.
Yep.
But if the elephants just walked into a fucking trap, that you fucked up.
Yeah, it's the elephants were meant much the same as the explosive pigs of the Romans. You guys all know about explosive pigs,
or the
right?
tunnel bears. But we can also even say the tanks of World War One. It wasn't so much that they were trying to do as much damage, but to lead a charge over the trenches, and that's and if we want to go into it, that's a large part in how Germany gained lots of land is because of Blitzkrieg. This is
Blitzkriegen.
It's you're trying to overwhelm the enemy quickly to subdue them, and then you deal with the repercussions afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you hit them
Which
with
is
your
the least bloody way to win, by the way.
Well, now we're in information war, so we don't even have to get to the hot war. We can just, sucker.
We can just stay. Yeah, we can just stay where we're at right now.
I can appreciate that war is not pretty, but I can also appreciate that I'm glad we don't use elephants for stuff like that anymore. Because
yeah, me too.
I don't know. Have you seen some? If you see some like Persian elephant armor, it looks pretty cool.
It does look cool. It's just that these are. I think it's because they're so intelligent as a species that it just doesn't feel right to drag them into our business.
Yeah,
well, I mean, if you can trick them into fighting for you.
What if that elephant was intelligent enough that he's sitting there like, yeah, look at me in my fucking plated armor.
He's like, I can't wait till we take all of Rome, so that way that I can live in the nice grassy fields. Oh no! Oh, I'm an elephant and I'm dying.
But
okay, listen. Does the elephant armor get the elephant laid more often? Probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Probably.
Hey, the people are paying to get their women fucking elephant laid by. Wow,
that's like old school Pimp My Ride.
Elephants fight each other over female herds, though. They kind of are like that.
No, they don't. Elephants.
The one with the most armor wins.
Out with rainbows and they spray water on themselves, and then they,
and also we're acting like elephants don't end up still dying bloody deaths currently.
Elephants don't die; they live forever.
Yeah, dude, that's what I was taught too.
You have an elephant that goes completely mad.
No, fuck that. They don spiky armor and they fucking charge into humans.
Listen, I watched Babar my whole childhood. I know exactly what elephants do. They have a kingdom. They take French lessons. They can play the pianoforte. Like
wear suits.
Get out of here.
I used to really like the movie, even though the movie didn't make any sense, and I never considered it to be in the same world as the TV show because it wasn't.
This movie's not canon.
Do you guys
there was a movie.
Do you guys happen to know what mammoths are?
Mammoth.
Or mahouts.
Not sure.
In two different ways.
I like saying it though. Are they camels?
Elephant handler. The elephant rider, the elephant trainer, the elephant keeper. bunch
Okay.
of different ways of phrasing it.
They would
So
often mate with the elephant themselves to become one.
mahouts end up carrying a hammer as well as a wedge for a very specific reason.
Yes, spike in the brain.
Yep, if the elephant goes mad, the mahout is, if he's not able to regain control over the elephant, and it's
Or-
Presses
hold
the
on,
self-destruct button.
Let's be real. I mean, if he's going mad in the enemy's company, I'll just let him go ahead and do his business.
true, but I'm talking modern day.
Oh, modern day,
Mahouts
yeah.
are
No.
still a thing. And if an elephant starts to rampage and they aren't able to draw it back under control, the wedge is to be placed at the top of the elephant's skull
Mhm.
and then pound the hammer down until the wedge does its business.
And-
there's
You're up
Hey.
2 ivory horns. So it's a win-win.
there's a record. I can't remember the English officer's name, but it's one of the English officers during English control of India, where it's
The good old days.
effectively his journal or his diary that has been published since then. And he describes when an elephant went completely mad in the middle of the night. Because elephants can go mad.
Just like us. You know,
Yeah.
they're not
Yep.
really that different.
They can
Well,
just
I mean, they supposed to be around the same? It sounds. See, I can't even think of the word to sound intelligent, but aren't they up there with like dolphins in terms of intelligence?
yeah, it's effectively humans, great apes, octopi shortly after great apes, or potentially around the same place as great apes, dolphins, and elephants
Mhm.
are the top 5 intellectual species, if you want to phrase it that way. The most
Yeah.
sapient species on Earth.
Well, hold on, and you know what? We're still in a gray area because apparently the chimps and the gorillas are at war. So
Yes.
once they are done with
Hell
that
yeah,
war,
dude.
we'll figure out and then we'll readjust the listing. But
That's awesome. Can you talk about that more? I haven't heard of that, but that sounds cool.
Oh, you haven't heard that? So
yeah.
No.
the chimps, I can't remember the region that they're from. There's a specific tribe of chimps or a specific region where they live. And I
they're
think
gonna
it's
have a
just
flag soon.
a tribe that are fucking
Stone Age.
launching organized assaults against the gorillas of the
Dude,
area.
that's so fucking cool. But fuck the chimps, dude. They eat other smaller monkeys, dude. They eat them alive. They'll like pick the meat out of their back while they're holding them. They're screaming. So I hope the
Oh,
apes
yeah.
win.
A
Well,
lot of
the gorillas.
species of great apes do that though.
Shit ton of them are.
I think we should join in as a third party.
The
And
I'd
wipe
US.
them
say,
all
I'd
out.
say the one I like the most is still I stand by the orangutans just because I feel like we've fucked with them and we've advanced them like a hundred times in advance
No.
just by because we fucked them over. And now we
See,
raise babies in
I-
little tribes
well-
together. They are now learning how to learn from each other.
Or like
and,
sign
yeah,
language and stuff too.
I think we need
The
a
ones
Vietnam
that-
too.
the ones
We
that scare
just
the
need to go napalm everything.
the ones that scare the shit out of me are the orangutans, because the orangutans have entered the Stone Age.
Yeah.
It's not just that. If you watch the
um,
programs where they show you where they're keeping them because they've got so many babies that they're trying to rescue and save and they're raising them together in groups of like 800. They're used to learning from one parent only for their entire life. And they
Of course,
memorize what
Orangutan
they
society.
learn. They memorize what they learn. So
Yeah,
they
and they pass
memorize
it on.
everything. They memorize everything.
Yeah, it's kind of like bears are also one of the race or one of the
Oh,
species
God.
rather that
No,
Dude, that's so cool.
Is gonna be saved.
not thought to be as smart as they really fucking are. Like,
Yo, what
you
if-
guys-
And the worst thing with orangutans is for me, I can see the affection in their eyes when they're babies. It's that thing that you get when you're like a fluffy little white chick or something. But every time I see one, I'm like,
I've never
oh,
experienced that.
You're just picking
You
up
can
the
too. I know you
neoteny.
can. I know you can too. I'm just
You're-
stereotyping myself because it's funny.
You're just picking up the neotenous nature of the orangutans. It's
so
That's how they
just-
trick you.
Those
Dogs
cute
are
eyes, like,
extremely
oh, they're such a
neotenous.
baby.
Oh shit, he's so intelligent. Even as a baby orangutan,
Like,
he can
he's
trick
such a little
you.
baby. He knows he's got me wrapped around his finger, or she knows she's got me wrapped around her finger. You know, like
It's
I'm
And we put
putting
them in little
this
diapers
baby
too.
in Montessori.
it's a thing among pretty much every species. You have neotenous progeny, as well as in domesticated species. You end up with far more neotenous aspects being bred into the species. Are you all
Yeah,
familiar
because the
with
cute
what
ones
neoteny
survive.
means? Yeah, exactly. Are you all familiar with what neoteny means, by the way? Just to make sure that I'm not using a term that no one else knows.
Please explain.
Neoteny, it literally means baby-like. So neotenous aspects are larger eyes per
Yep.
head ratio,
yep.
having a kind of stunted face almost.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at wolves versus dogs, that's a really beautiful example of this. Dogs' eyes, for the size of their head, is much, much larger than a wolf's eyes for the size of its head. As well as the length of the head, which is where the stunted nature comes in. Dogs have a much more blunted or stunted countenance than the wolves do.
I feel like
So-
you're personally attacking me right now because of my long dog picture.
The long
I find him
dog-
adorable. All right,
Long-
Sanguine.
long
he's a
dog
beautiful
being an
creature.
exception, though the long dog still
I-
has a rather pronounced eye size for the size of its head.
It's pretty neotenous to me.
Yes.
I also get the affection from the intelligence that I can see in that gaze, though. You know, like even as a baby, you know, when you're looking at a human baby, there's still some intelligence in that eye, in that gaze. You know, even if they can't really see you, you can tell that they're thinking that. They're thinking, "What am I looking at?" You know, and
90% of
Yeah.
what you're seeing is just the neotenous nature.
maybe. But I feel for it all the time. But I do think the grown up orangutans are cute.
You're
too.
the soft touch that all these animals and babies are looking for.
No, they prey on me all the
Who
time.
can I con?
But the
But,
adult ones are
aha.
cute too. I do think the adult ones are cute too. Like I watch the whole program. Like they go through the adolescents and the adults and the program lady said never Sora, just so you know, never trust a male orangutan who's an adult because he will take you on a sunset walk and try to woo you.
It's just like dolphins will try to rape people.
It's just
they
like
want-
men in their 40s talking to 23-year-old girls.
Well, orangutans technically have harems, so.
Well, I mean,
so
we
you
can't
know,
hate him for
don't become a part of
trying.
Don't become a
How
part of
much
that anime,
into
Sora.
this
Do not become a part of that
orangutan-
anime, okay?
Wait, real
My
quick.
orangutan
What
Sorum, Doki
orangutan
Doki.
study did you go into? Like, what
Oh,
the
these programs
hell?
were good. The documentary was really good. Like they had quite a series on YouTube, so it wasn't just one. Like there was like about 3.
Have you guys, by any chance, seen the studies on the nut size versus the rate of monogamy?
That sounds
The
familiar.
correlation
Did
for
you ever
species.
bring that
I
up
have
before?
first-hand evidence
Quite
that it is
possible.
100% true.
Night,
So-
Kipke.
What they've noticed is that the larger the nut size of a species, and by the nut size, I mean the testicle size, not the
Oh,
amount
that's not as funny.
produced by nutting. But
Only
I just imagine-
scientific terms here on Minions of the Zoo.
I
the
just imagine a bunch of scientists like waiting with like beakers in front of them.
graduated cylinders. We're doing more accurate measures here. It
Oh,
has
you're
to be
right, you're right.
graduated cylinders. But yes, it is the size of the testicles versus the overall body proportions. has been linked to the rate of monogamy within a species. So, for instance, gorillas have remarkably small testicles for their overall body size. They're fucking enormous bodies, as everyone can see from any picture of gorillas versus other species. They have absolutely ridiculous, almost hypertrophic bodies. You guys know what hypertrophic means? Yes? No?
Yes.
Mhm, mhm.
Hold on, what does a gorilla look like?
Maybe? Do you need me to pull up an image for you, Adam?
No.
Yes, sir,
Go
please.
ahead. Go ahead, sir. Please continue.
But, yeah, they have these overdeveloped or hypertrophic.
Trying to
That's
make
what
Sora
hypertrophic means. It means overly developed. Hypotrophic means underdeveloped. And atrophy, which everyone should be familiar with, is when a muscle starts to decrease in size due to non-use. So a hypertrophic specimen is a overly muscled specimen. Gorillas are effectively, by nature, hypertrophic. And they have remarkably small testicles given their overall body size because they end up with lifelong mates, effectively. Whereas when you look at other species, bonobos, for instance, are probably the best example of this. They have unreasonably large testicles based on their size. Rats are another good example of something that has enormous testicles based on its body size.
Like they live in large areas, right? So if they're going to store their pee somewhere, that's the best place to store it, because that's where us men store our pee at.
Contrary to popular knowledge, pee is not stored in the testicles.
What? Hold on, I gotta go.
Yeah, surprising as it may be.
No, that's in your bladder.
I thought that was for baking.
If you want one of the most ridiculous penis to body size ratios, then you have to look at the barnacle, which I think it's 8 times its overall body length.
It's all penis.
Oh God.
I used to joke, Sora, that my balls were so big that God decided that he had to place them on my chest, and that's where they went.
So what you're saying is you're ridiculously polygamous.
Maybe.
Jen has her own harem. Don't let her comedian sweetness fool you.
Well, hold on. So what you're saying is we should conduct some studies.
No.
Just
No.
to.
No, I'm not posting those online. No. I have talked to Hammer about someday maybe doing a camera thing if I ever get the funds to buy a proper camera. But
Hey guys, I have a
I
great question.
But I don't want to do the thought thing. So I'm like, if I do that, how can I set that up so it's funny? I'm going to have to talk to Weibo about this.
I have a great question. So this has to do with
on the panel just to I'd like to make that declaration.
Society post collapse. All right. So how long do you think we're gonna have guns for? Okay. So step one. So as a species, we have created guns, and normally once technology gets to a certain point, it never really goes away. But let's say that society has collapsed. Right. All world governments are gone. EMP, electronics are all gone, but just first stage. So thinking maybe the first 50 to 100 years, we would still have a fairly good amount of guns, but would there be a point where we go back to using mainly melee weapons during battles and large-scale wars? Like, let's say there are tribes of around 100 to 150 people scattered all over the place, but no overarching government. What do you guys think?
I think it depends on the amount of education of the survivors left, because it really, really depends. I did think about that in terms of zombie apocalypse, because I kind of got addicted to this super, super dark one called Crossed. And it was just, what would I do? And I was just like, well, first of all, I'm limited on my weapons anyway. And I kind of thought, well, the first guy I thought about was the guy who was making guns out of wood.
Yeah.
There's wooden cannons.
Because my thinking was like, well, in terms of resources, where I am, the best resource I have is wood. Trees is a thing. And I know that ammo and guns is a good thing, but if I know that I'm not going to be able to keep that up for forever, I'd rather figure out how to do something like that where I can keep that up and my replacements are easy to keep up.
And
yeah.
Barring the death of every individual that knows how to make gunpowder, the genie has been let out of the bottle. The cat has been let out of the bag. It will not revert to a stage where we do not have guns, like I said, barring the death of every individual that knows how to produce gunpowder.
Hold on, Sanguine. This is where I would like to interject, because this is where it's one of those, yes, there will be surviving people who understand this knowledge, but then that's when you start getting into, oh shit, who's in control, and who's in control of that knowledge, because
Also, the resource itself directly.
Well, no, we've been there before. We've had information on advanced technology, but people who would have rather remain in control hid that from everybody else.
Oh,
That's why I go back and revisit those kind of channels and kind of watch them again. Like, not to make it obvious that I'm trying to learn what he's doing, but just so that I have an idea of what it was he did. You know, my dad is one of those people, and I feel like the little girl who brings him up all the time. But he was a survival expert for a really long time. Like, he went out and got like certificates for it, just because it was a hobby. He just was interested in it, and he hunts. So like, and fishes. And so some of the places he would go to, especially for the fishing, sometimes he would go to remote places. And it was just like, it might not hurt to have that. I've always been aware of where he kept his books and his notes and everything. I've always been aware of where he kept his notes on how to make a bow. I've always known where he kept his notes on how to make arrows. I remember watching what he did. Like, I remember as a kid always watching what he did, even if it was out of the corner of my eye. And it's a lot of work, but I know how to make a compound bow. Like, I don't, but I remember everything I saw, you know, and just having that memory and remembering where he has that information is something that he's always encouraged me to know that, you know. Just because in case, you know, like a zombie apocalypse probably isn't going to happen, but like anything could happen.
Yeah, we can always hope.
Here's the thing. If zombie apocalypse happens, there's going to be 3 major technologies that will be the most vital to human survival, to my mind. And that is the creation and use of steel armor. Because I'm sorry, you wear head-to-toe chainmail or plate mail, anything beyond chainmail. Chainmail and up in the level of defense.
Dude, I don't think any zombie is going to be chewing through basic chainmail either.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
everything from chainmail up in body armor, you're good to go. As long as it's complete coverage. And
I mean,
then being able to produce steel weapons.
Hold on, I will say it also depends on what kind of zombies you're facing, because if you're facing just like the old school, oh, they just, you know, slowly walk and move, they want to bite you and whatnot, yeah, you'll be able to fight them off. But some of this new zombie shit where they're
like rage zombies,
where they're like running around and, you know, oh, they can lift the person over their head. It's like, yeah, okay.
But here's the thing about those ones. The people are not actually dead, so you can actually just kill them.
Better than crossed. Those are rape zombies.
Oh, lovely.
And they can infect you with all their bodily fluids, so it's not just rape. All they have to do is take a piss on you, and you're infected.
Wait, what's the? I mean, hold on. I have to take notes on how to prepare for a zombie outbreak. Oh,
it's called crossed. Yeah.
CROSSED.
What is that?
Rule 34. Oh, it's all right.
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but he is the guy who did the Punisher, and I think his artist, the artist who did Punisher,
John Barenthal.
Yeah, and I think he's the one who did the Walking Dead comic.
Yeah,
because the art style is the same, and I think the age group is still the same because it's not a new comic. But I talked to one of my buddies, Hikaru, and he's really into that kind of stuff, and he said that the author had threatened to make something that everyone would hate. So don't read this thinking it's not gory, because it absolutely is fucking gory. But it's so raunchy, and the characters are so intensely interesting that I just couldn't stop reading it. And I just
Oh wait, it's an actual comic?
oh yeah, it's
Oh,
all
that's even
drawn and
better.
everything.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's good. It's actually really good. I won't lie though, if you're not into gore, don't read it, because it is absolutely. But
If
Hey,
you
one more time,
if you go
what's
to your
the name of
local
the
comic
title?
shop, wait, what was that?
Said one more time. Could you state the name of the title?
Crossed.
It's Crossed.
Yeah.
I have it written down here. No, I'm just kidding. But if you like gory comics, check out Red Room. So like on the front, it's gonna be like banned in 7 countries or whatever. I don't know. My shop carries it, but it's pretty cool. It's about this girl and like her dad. He's like this real big fat guy, like real big, like 600 pounds or something. At least that's how he's drawn, right? It's in black and white, but like he's like one of the torture people on like a dark web like torture room thing, and like the way that they kill people is super creative. It's kind of gross, but I don't know, it's pretty good. Also, there's another great one called Serial. So it's about like if you look up the 3rd book's cover, it's pretty cool. It's like a pedophile, and he has like a balloon, and he's like looking down at like this little girl, and he's like holding the balloon like behind his back, and then like she's like looking up at him, but she has like a butcher's knife behind her back. I don't know. It's a pretty good book too.
Yeah, I don't.
You first, and then I'll go.
Oh no, you go ahead. I was
You
just
first. I'll go.
all right. I was just gonna say I've really gotten into the dark stuff lately, and I don't know where this has come from. And I didn't really care as much about The Walking Dead. Like the comic, I know was better than the show, but I think the show killed my interest to it.
Oh, see, I'm actually they just released Walking Dead Deluxe, so they're coloring all of the books. So before it was in black and white, now they're doing colors. And I never read the comics, but I'm obsessed with the show. Like I've watched it, rewatched it so many times. One of the best things I ever did, and this was a long time ago, so no one quote me. I hope no one finds this that I know. But the best thing to do is to rewatch the show, but only watch if you've been smoking. And then that's the only way that you watch the show. Like, never watch it sober. Only if you've been smoking. And oh my god, it's so good, dude. I cried like 5 times in one episode.
All right,
I find all the characters boring as hell. I couldn't make it past episode 2 of the first season because I wanted them all to die. I'm like, oh, this is zombie apocalypse. Good. I hope you all die. Click.
I think there's only like 3 people that survive out of the main group. If it makes you feel better, most of them do die. So
see, when you said Red Room, I was thinking that it might be related to the, I want to say it was mid 90s, early 90s, somewhere in there. Fairly early on in the internet becoming somewhat widespread.
yeah.
There was the creepypasta of the Red Room, which was actually based on a real life murder.
Oh.
Have any of you heard about that?
No.
No, I haven't, but I like to get my spooks jimmied.
It was one of Japan's youngest convicted murderers. She was 11 years old, if I remember correctly.
Whoa.
She slit a 12-year-old's throat in an abandoned classroom and then went back to class.
Ugh.
Was there a
That
reason
wasn't as
given?
cool as I thought it would be. That's just sad.
It was effectively the girl was unbalanced, to say the least. And yeah, there was really no reason. They were friends. She took the girl into this one room. There was apparently a short exchange, none of it really vitriolic or anything of that nature to explain the crime. Then she slit the girl's throat and returned to class. The teacher, after their break, because we're in the middle of a break period effectively, came back, realized a student was missing, thought something was off, went to try to find the student, and ended up finding the student in a room that was damn near painted with arterial spray. from this
Oh.
12-year-old girl having her carotid slit by a Stanley knife or box cutter, however you prefer to refer to it.
Yeah.
And then it came out that, yeah, it was this 11-year-old or so that had slit her friend's throat.
God, that's dark.
Yeah.
Another
Just
great
again-
dark comic book.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. You go ahead. You got a different one. I was gonna go back to mine
Okay.
after. So when you're done, I'll go back to mine after.
Okie dokie. So this one, it's called Lady Killer. And this one I got for my wife, and she absolutely loved it. This is what I got her into comics with. It doesn't go on anymore. And so there's just 2 trade paperbacks, which is just a collection of the first and the second series.
Mm-hmm.
But it's about a 1950s housewife who's also an assassin. And so it's really, really cool because like the way that, not only the way that it's drawn is it reminds you of like early Americana, but also it's super clever. Like one of my favorite parts was, and this was on the preview that I saw actually. You know how like you buy a book online, sometimes it does a preview.
Yes, yeah.
So she goes to this lady's house and she's like, "Hi, I'm selling Tupperware or plastic or something." She goes, she sits down and she keeps trying to convince this lady to buy Tupperware. It's an old cat lady. And as she, like, every time the lady turns around, she pulls out like this syringe and she's going to drip it into the tea because she's like, "Here, would you like some tea?" You know, blah, blah, blah. They're both drinking tea. And like, as she pulls it out and she's about to drip, there's like a drawn skull and crossbones that's like smoking out of it, you know, and it's like really artsy and cool. And then eventually she's like, "Okay, so Miss Vladivostok," right? And she's like, "How did you know I was from Russia? Blah, blah, blah." And then like this awesome fight scene ensues. And she's like beating the lady in the noggin with a wrench or something like that. Or maybe it was a meat cleaver. I don't know. It's cool. It's bloody. But also it's like super unique, like the way that she kills people and like the way that it's all set up. It's really like brainy and interesting. So
If you like really dark comics, one that's fairly easy to find, that is really damn good. It does have a movie, but the movie's fairly camp, is The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I remember that one, or at least the movie. I liked the movie.
The comics, oh my god, fuck yes.
I
The
don't
comic.
hell yeah,
really
that sounds
the
like a
art
good
style.
comic. So fuck it, I'll check it out just from that.
To,
Fuck yes, hell yeah.
to tell you about 2 scenes that stick with me from the comics. At one point, Mr. Hyde rapes someone to death.
Oh god, he's not a
You
good
don't-
guy.
You don't see this happen.
Yeah, except for
see-
endosogens.
The outside of the room and speech bubbles from inside the room, and then you
Oh.
see the entire room covered in blood.
Oh lord, that's awesome, dude.
So dark as shit. What the fuck? And then the other thing that sticks with me is there's one point where I can't remember the exact line, but I'll paraphrase it. At the start of that day, they did not know the meaning of fear. Mr. Hyde taught them.
That's awesome, dude. That's like so in line with the character. That's like what the character is supposed to be, you know, especially from like the old books. It's supposed to be like a horror story. But he's been kind of like turned into just like a lovable monster type archetype in like modern times. So that's cool to see it like go back to the roots.
They explain
Hold on,
in
isn't that
Go ahead.
what they kind of try to? Excuse me, sir, but isn't that what they try to portray with the Avengers, with the Hulk and Black
Yeah,
Widow?
Science
and she
Hulk.
was like,
Yeah, exactly.
She was like, "Oh yeah,
That
I
is
know."
so much
oh,
more
anger
wholesome
is-
than Crossed.
Yeah, the Hulk is the modern day equivalent of Mr. Hyde. But
So
Mr. Hyde, they actually explain in the comics why his depiction is so much different versus the actual book, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Because Do any of you remember what the description of Mr. Hyde is in the book Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
No, sir.
I don't remember any books.
He's described as rather small and
Oh, wait, hold
not
on a
very
second.
imposing.
Wait, so like a little gremlin. Oh, what the fuck?
Mhm.
Hold on, my brain's breaking right now because so he was like Schmeagol.
Almost. He's much smaller than Dr. Jekyll in the book. Dr. Jekyll is this rather robust man at the start of the book.
Handsome, good looking.
Yep, handsome, good looking. And he decides to develop something to remove all of the negative aspects of himself. So,
Oh,
the
and so in
anger,
doing
the
that,
greed,
he
the
realized the love was all that mattered. Was on it's what's on the inside that matters. Oh, so that's a heartwarming book.
Not quite. So what happens, the explanation that was given in the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, why Hyde is depicted as this absolutely massive brute of a thing, is that, yeah, they separated early on. The separation happened well before the story takes place. So all of the envy, all of the anger, all of the naked ambition, all of the lust, every negative aspect of Hyde or Dr. Jekyll was stripped from him and given to Hyde. And Hyde became this enormous monster. Because think about things that motivate you to improve yourself. It's when you start noticing that you're falling short of people around you.
Yeah, you're tired of getting rejected by girls, so you go on 4chan and ask them what to do. So you get real built and then start killing people.
It's when you start kind of feeling like you've fallen behind, that you really push yourself in order to go forward. It's the ambition that drives you. Yeah, naked ambition's a nasty thing, but ambition in and of itself is not. Pride that is completely unjustified pride, yeah, that is horrendous. Pride of your actions, pride of your deeds, that is not. So, Dr. Jekyll was stripped of all that, which robbed him of his motivation to continue maintaining himself, continue trying to develop himself. So he stagnated after that separation. Whereas Hyde was given the raw ambition that drove him to do ever more in order to become greater than he was. Hyde was given the anger that would drive him on, every negative emotion, the envy of others that would cause him to actually be motivated to improve his lot in life so that he could be on more of a level playing surface with those around him. It was this fantastic explanation of why Hyde became this Hulk-like figure rather than Hyde being this smaller, just frailer man in general that he was in the book. Because when it was the separation of Jekyll and Hyde in the book, there wasn't really much evil to Jekyll to begin with. So what evil there was, it was this almost anemic thing that, yeah, it was capable of ridiculous violence and all sorts of mischief and malice, but it wasn't really that great to begin with. It was just over the time skip between that and then when the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen picked up, that all of the negative aspects allowed him to continue building. Because, yeah, when you talk about envy can be really bad if you use it in the wrong way. But there's actually a beneficial way of using envy. There's a way that you use envy as kind of the fuel for action. Anger can be unbelievably damaging if it is in its raw, completely untamed, but anger can also cause you to do things that are great. I've said it before. Positive role models are important. Everyone knows that positive role models are important. There's no one that questions that. But I argue that negative role models are almost as important as positive role models, if not equally or more important. Having the person that you have in your mind that you go, I will never be that, can be almost as beneficial as having the person that you're going, I must live up to that model. Because without that negative model, without the person that you're going, I will never become them, fuck everything that they are, it allows you to much more easily convince yourself that doing something that is not necessarily good, but will be a means to an end, is a viable tactic. It allows you to much more easily convince yourself that, no, you're just trying to live up to your ideal. Whereas when you have that, if you start acting like that person, you're able to go, what the fuck is wrong with me? I said I would never do this, and now I'm doing. Does that make sense to anyone?
Mhm.
Making sure that I'm not just rambling nonsensically.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, especially once you start seeing that certain, like, you know, people are cornering the art market. You know, they're running all the banks, and I mean, going out of World War I, you know, your country's already in debt. You got to pay all that back. But how are you going to do it with a strong national identity?
God damn it! Going immediately to.
Well, I just
we were in debt after the Civil War, but yeah.
Yeah, see, exactly.
World War I was just the excuse to get us involved with the global community.
It is
exactly, damn globalists.
It is as important to have the ideal of just to kind of build upon the foundation that you left there, Cthulhu. It is as important to have the ideal of we will treat people as individuals as it is to have that negative role model of I will never treat someone as if they are part of a collective versus being an individual.
Exactly. Individual rights will prosper over evil globalist elite scum trying to reset our banks into owning nothing. That was gonna be good. All right, go ahead, Adam.
Oh, okay.
Wait, what?
I didn't know it was his turn. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't.
No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, good, because I was gonna take over then, because like I was gonna explain one of my scenes. So this isn't so Crust is different stories. It's not just the same storyline. Like you will start off with an explanation of what the world is about in the first like storyline. They do explain what's happened. But the first scene that I'm thinking of is just probably the funniest one. I just found it is so off, but it's funny. So the scene starts with this guy explaining what his job is. And his job is to monitor the area and ring the bell if he ever sees any abnormalities. But he makes this hesitation and makes a mistake because one day he sees this abnormality that just causes him to pause. Mm-hmm. And the scene starts off where you see this guy, and you're clearly in Scotland because they do speak with an accent. And so
the accent is written in.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And so
good old I dialect.
You know, so they're in Scotland.
I hope it's presented by that cute Scots words of the day lass.
Oh, trust me.
She is adorable.
So the first scene, he stops and pauses because he sees this guy who is, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, Sora, a dolphin dies in this scene. But the guy has stabbed this dolphin to help hold it up while he is raping its blowhole, and he's singing yo ho, and then he's also crying to his mommy about what it is he's about to do. So the guy who's supposed to ring the bell realizes that one of his guys is out on the lake, and this guy's kind of an idiot because even though he's supposed to be aware of the fact that guys who are like this are out looking to hunt him down. And the guy has decided to put earphones and a big thick hat over his head while he's gone fishing. And so he's rung the bell because it's either they're going to go help the guy or, he's just out to luck,
Mhm.
And so this guy is finished with this dolphin, realizes that Buddy is over there, and he's like, yo ho, yo ho. He's just going straight at it. And he starts going towards him, and just as he's about to, he does tip him over in the boat, he does get shot in the head. And this is a thing, you actually have to be really careful, because if you're in the water with someone who is bleeding, you have to be really careful that you don't drink it. It doesn't go up your nose, it doesn't get in your ears, it doesn't get in your eyes, because you will become one.
Oh.
It is that kind of nefarious kind of thing. So Buddy gets up on the boat. He makes sure that he doesn't have any water in his system. He makes himself throw up. He's fine. But unfortunately, they used a gun to shoot this guy.
Mhm.
And that has now alerted any other cross that might have been in the area. So naturally, a horde of them come upon him. So it's a league of... there's maybe a couple of dudes there, but it's a league of mostly naked Amazon ladies, and they have necklaces of penises.
Oh Lord, death by snoo.
Oh, for the record, some of those penises might belong to living people who are still roaming, but as a cross, you experience pain as pleasure. You get off on it. And you want to create as much misery for other people as you can, as you're either eating them or turning them into one of you, so that the people that turn into one of you are just as twisted as you are.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's like
Oh my
that's
god!
like
Hold on.
Slanesh.
Can I? Is it possible that I could say hey, can we add a?
You
bookmark?
could turn into one?
No. Can we add a bookmark to this point? Pain for pleasure. I'd like to come back to this. I would like
but
you to
that's the
continue,
thing, though,
but
Adam.
I
Half the
wanna-
problem is you're going to be a retard. You are going to be worse
What?
than a retard. It's like a 1 in maybe 100 people just happen to be at some level of intelligence.
Well, hold on. I was saying.
So it's like a zombie lord. You've got maybe 1 in 100 is kind of like a zombie lord.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. In all fairness, I was under the impression that it was people who sought
No.
they found pleasure in pain. So to say.
Oh, it's not just that. No. It's just
No, that's
you
what the M stands for in BDSM.
you will like it to the point where you will kill yourself happily.
Well, no, because
You're happy to die. You're just like, okay, this is fun.
I get that. I wanted I had wanted to add a little story to it, but I didn't want to disrupt the flow
You're
of
fine.
the conversation.
Sorry, it's dark. It is dark.
Well, hold on. Well, I'm old enough to when the internet was just starting, right? And we had a thing called internet cafes, right? So you pay $10 and get like an hour, and you get to be able to log on to the computer and whatnot, and I'd go there with a couple of buddies of mine, and one of them, he would go off, this is where I discovered Newgrounds and
Hell yeah.
right, like all that goofy shit. But we stumbled upon a website that I think it was brothers or cousins or something like that. And
No.
they like to chop off.
Oh, BME Pain Olympics.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Cross does have a chapter that covers that kind of shit, but yeah.
It's so horrendous. How do people do that? And I just remember they documented oh yeah, we binded off this part, and then we chopped it off, and then we look. If that's what they like, that's what they like. And I understand. Hey, I understand the interest
The
in it.
cool factor. Yeah.
Well, somebody saying like, I gotta research this.
Well,
By
I
all
think it's because
means.
it's so twisted. I'm like, how the hell would I survive that? And yeah, I go back to the wooden bullets because I'm like, what else am I going to use? Because like that's part of the problem is sound, right? Like,
That's like ages ago, back in the early days of the internet. What was it? Cursed? I think it was Cursed Images or something like that.
yeah,
Where it was just a site that all it was shock images, effectively.
Yeah.
So it had things like a recent murder happened in the area. It would have this is what your head looks like after a shotgun blast.
oh,
they
fun.
still have those.
Oh yeah, I remember that. They
No, it was
do that
rotten.com. That's what it was.
Oh
That's
yes,
what
dude,
the
Rotten.
you're right.
Oh,
Yes.
dude, yeah.
rotten.
Dude, and then there's still what's it, NY? You know what I'm saying? It's like NY something.
You're the man now, dog.
Oh, I remember TYMND. No,
that what-
but
Yeah,
it's
you're
not
the
that
man
one.
now,
It's
dog. You're the man now, dog.
no, it's not.
That one.
No, it's not that one. I know. I know that one. But there's another one that's still up. It's like, I can't remember the name. Anyway, but yeah, dude. There's freaky shit like that all over. I don't know if anyone likes to actually look at that now. But I remember being like a teen, and me and my friend, exactly, dude. We played like Gmod, like Gary's mod. We go on Newgrounds and we had like Sonic OC characters as our Newground, like on our Newgrounds thing, and we had like themed like names, and oh, dude, it was so cringe.
God damn it, you just remind me
Yeah.
of something that just came out in internet news recently with that Sonic
What's that?
OC thing.
Yeah, I can't say I had any of that, but I can say that I did see images that I'm probably not supposed to have seen just because I did know a guy who was a military guy. And one of his things was he admittedly owned up to being a sociopath. So when people hung out with him, he kind of did little things with Tess. And so sometimes he would send me images of wounds on people.
Oh. Dude.
And he would do it when I was in chat with him. And here's the thing. I don't know what it is with me. Maybe it's just me, but I've never really had a problem with seeing stuff like that. Like, I can feel for that person. And yeah, I am grossed out. Like, I feel sympathy for them. But
You're completely clinical.
yeah, I can. Sometimes I can't. Like, some images will get to me, but like he tested me with all these images, and I think he was just like, because I don't come across that way. Because sometimes I come across as a little bunny. Like, you show me an image of somebody harming a dog, and I just become like a raging, like, I want to kill that dude. But you show me an image of somebody who's had their penis blown off, and I'm just like, I feel for the dude a lot. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But I can distance myself from it enough that I'm just like,
I mean, I don't feel for the person because I don't know the person, but you can look at it just like in any medical textbook. We'll have pictures of individuals with stuff like, and you don't know the people.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
When I was in the
Back
police
in the
academy,
old
dude, we had
school.
so many different guys. Like, we would have different instructors come in, and like they would be like, "Oh, hey, check this out," and they would like show us pictures and shit. Like, there's this one by where we live. It was actually right next to a police department, but there's like this weird off curve, and so the road splits in two, and it kind of curves around and goes around like the National Guard place and like the police department. And like this dude was on a motorcycle, and he's going super fast, and like the helmet did not keep any of the brains in.
Okay.
Like, oh, dude, like blood
Yeah.
streak, like for 100 feet, dude. Oh my god, man.
yeah, like if I see it in action, it's different. Like, if I see it in action, I have a lot more feelings for it. Like, there's more of a flinch feeling from me. There's more of like, oh, okay, I can imagine what that felt like a little bit, But at the same time, once it's done, I'm back to being distant. It's just like, okay, well, nothing I can do. The guy's gone. And I
That's
think
I like
that's
the
why.
videos of
Because
like
if, so,
the beheadings.
if somebody's dead, they're dead. I think that's why. It's like, well, there's nothing I can do.
That's kind of like when I was a correction officer. I trained a fair number of correction officers that were precepting, which really is just the first year of working corrections. You're technically a trainee corrections officer rather than being a full force correctional officer. And whenever I had to explain what we were looking for on a round, because that would always come up, someone brand new would ask, so what exactly are we looking for when we're doing rounds? The way that I would phrase it would always be the same. Hangers, bangers, and bleeders. Care to guess what hangers were?
People who like to
Suicides.
air out their laundry by hanging them from the bars.
It was David Carradine or worse. So, hangers, people that are trying to hang themselves. Either for autoerotic asphyxiation or actually to kill themselves. Bangers. Anyone care to guess what bangers were?
Inmates having sex.
Exactly. Bleeders.
Cutters.
People who tried to kill
Yep.
themselves. Yeah.
People that tried to kill themselves or people that just got the shit beat out of them by their cell.
Ah.
So every time I would just respond, you're looking for hangers, bangers, and bleeders. And then I'd explain each of those to make sure that they knew what I was talking about.
Boy, this got dark. This is not safe for kids. It never is.
Well,
just so you
thanks
know.
to you.
But
You started it, Jen.
sorry.
Yeah, what the hell?
Sorry.
Zombie.
It's a good
Shame to yourself.
It is exactly what I described, but at the same time, it was good.
No, actually, you are 100% correct. You see, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls,
Mm-hmm.
the slippery slope is real. Okay, so if you give somebody an inch, more than less likely, they will try and take a mile.
I did.
So you
I took a red mile. It
and
was gory.
Hold on. I will not say to not give anybody leeway, but I will say to be conscious about it and make sure that when they start overstepping boundaries, you make it known. You tell them to stop and shut the fuck up.
I'm sorry. Did I go over your bounds? I'm sorry. I know that
No.
dolphin
It's not-
scene is
it's-
horrible, but I thought it was funny. It was
Just
remember.
remember.
No. It's nothing against any of you. You both are dolls. I'm just. It's
Thank
look,
you.
These are not you, sorry.
It's me.
Yes, Sanguine.
You also gotta remember, Adam. I'm also the person who and thanks to Sanguine managed to introduce people to that Oregon whale.
Whoa.
Oh, you're talking about the one that was blown up? Yes.
Oh, Lord.
You guys all know about the whale being blown up, right?
Yeah. And the chunks come flying down.
Yep. Fucking crushed a car.
Yep. And the reporter was like, "Oh shit!" No,
That
but
was
yo,
not supposed to happen.
be aware of your surroundings. Be able to read the room.
Also,
Yeah.
if you're living in a zombie apocalypse, don't put on like your phones.
I don't put on sound canceling headphones. That's one of the worst things to do.
See, if you're going to be in a zombie apocalypse, what you need to do is you need to make sure that you stock up on medieval arms and armor beforehand.
That's
Because,
true.
like I said at the start of this entire conversation, because I do remember where I started off on this, there's three technologies that would be overwhelmingly important when it comes to zombie apocalypse and wouldn't fall out of knowledge unless everyone involved in the process of these three techs were suddenly killed outright. And they are steel armor, steel weapons, and firearms. Because I don't really think that we'll ever be in a world without firearms until such time that we have something that surpasses firearms. It could be that. So, just pulling straight from sci-fi and fantasy, the laser-based weapons. Everyone can imagine laser-based weapons and plasma-based weapons, right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah,
if
hot,
those,
spicy flashlights.
yep, if those come into being, then yeah, it might be possible that we would kind of lapse on our knowledge of firearms. But that is massively different than just forgetting firearms in general. And there's another way that I think it could happen. And it happens in some sci-fi series, but most of them still have firearms. They just become less important. If we ever develop a personal defense field, like a force field or anything like that, a shield,
Yeah.
then that would be able to resist firearms and any sort of advanced ranged weaponry. But like, let's say that it's Dune has the kinetic based shielding, if I remember correctly. And there's a number of other series that have kinetic based shielding where anything moving beyond a certain speed is stopped cold by the shield.
Yeah.
So firearms, they fall out of use because the bullets moving beyond a certain speed gets blocked by the shield. No problem. But then melee weapons come back into the vogue, come back into full force because, yeah, stabbing someone with a dagger does not move at a sufficient speed in order to block it like the bullet does. So you have melee weapons come back in those sci-fi settings. If we
Laser
develop
daggers.
either of those, then yeah, you will have firearms decrease in their popularity and ubiquity. But barring that, I don't really see humanity reverting to a point where we don't have those. Unless, like I said, everyone involved in the manufacture of gunpowder and or manufacturing of firearms dies right out.
That's true. But there would be a lot of factions. And this is only, and we're talking like 50 years later post collapse, right?
Well, hold on. Not only did they die, but all of their documentations were wiped out because you look, you can. Here's an example. We have no idea of the history. Well, we have limited idea of the history of the Mesoamerican cultures because all of their histories were burnt out. So we have. Well, no. They burnt the Catholic Church burnt them out, and then they rewrote codexes later on.
Yeah, they had limited written records, and what written records did exist were torched.
It was gone. I mean, because even if you go to like the Incas of Peru, where they wrote their records in like a series of knots, all of that is gone. But either way, you know, if they didn't continue the records, there's no way we're going to be able to catch up.
And I mean, in this post collapse scenario, an EMP also went off, so there's no longer internet, you know. And so, I mean, honestly, I guess the hardest part would be people actually getting along, right? Because if, like, let's say that there's a metalworking shop, but two of the guys don't really like each other, they just work there, you know what I mean? Then after that, there would probably be a fight for that resource of the actual metalworking shop. And also, it depends on the tribes, right?
Well, it isn't so much that you'd have it in small scale. Small scale order would still be maintained fairly easily. It's large scale to national order that would fall apart. So you would end up with, for instance, if you look at a region that is a old world nation, the one that's easiest for Americans to understand is, of course, England, because we share a fucking common language. And when you look at England and the rate of different accents within England, you're gonna have fucking different accents in the same area of England. One city and its city two over will have different accents.
California's gonna end up sounding like Simlish from The Sims. Karachake.
Quite possible. But yeah, you would end up with a breakdown of the order. Because when you think about America, yeah, we have kind of regional accents with some much older city accents. Like there's the New Yorker accent. The New York City
Hey, I'm
New Yorker
walking here.
accent. Versus
I am walking
the
here.
standard Northeastern accent. But
I'm
for
gonna
the most
park my
part,
car in a garage.
yeah,
That's a
yeah,
Boston accent.
Massachusetts, because that's the one of the oldest areas of the United States. Yeah, it has a very involved and old accent. Whereas when you look at like the Midwest, you can take someone from one area of the Midwest, and we're getting a lot of audio bleed from you, Charming.
Yeah. The guy I'm working with is watching some Japanese thing in the office. I just had to go grab popcorn.
Okay. It's starting to die down. So the Midwest is a fairly good example of it, where you have the Midwestern accent. You don't really have so much of a strong city-based accent in the Northwest. Like you don't have... If you pick someone from Minneapolis or St. Paul, one of the Twin Cities, and you plop them down in Chicago, no one's going to be going, you aren't from around here, based on their accent, are they? Would people agree with that sentiment? Yay, nay, maybe?
Yes.
Whereas if you pick someone up from Texas and you drop them in the Twin Cities, yeah, you'll end up with a you aren't from around here. Because that is different enough that it would be able to be told. So we have more regional accents than city accents. Like the UK has a lot of city accents. You talk, and really it has a lot of sub-city accents as well. Because when you're talking Cockney is not all of London. But Cockney is pretty much one section of London has its very specific accent.
I once wrote a song about an octopus's garden. Shut up, Ringo.
Two people end up dropping out. One of them's going to return. The other one's probably going to return as well, but don't know what caused them to drop out. The point being that when you have that sort of setup, the reason why we don't have really strong city accents in the Northwest is our development was late enough in the development of the US that communication became somewhat standardized. And the global communication system will end up with the global, not only accent, but also communication somewhat standardizing. You will have areas that try to set themselves apart by their accent, but overall it will standardize. An example of someone trying to set themselves apart by their accent is there became an accent to the aristocracy in order for them to differentiate themselves versus the kind of plebeian class. So in England, this became very pronounced, where the royals and the lords end up with a very different accent than the general populace of their areas.
Well, I mean, even a lot of Brits have types of accents depending on how posh they want to be. But
yep.
You know, one accent I want to hear is Alaskan. I want to know how many Alaskans do we have, and what's your accent like?
Yeah, because it does tend to be the more remote and kind of frontier regions will develop more of an accent than the more metropolitan area.
I mean, think about it. Even if it's like a couple from Iowa moved over to Hawaii, and then they lived there for like 2 generations, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
they grow up, they're gonna have a slight Hawaiian accent.
Oh yeah, they will become far more Hawaiian in their speech pattern than they will their parent area. And
So-
like I said, the frontier or rural areas tend to have more profound of an accent than the metropolitan areas. For instance, have all of you seen the movie Fargo?
That's the wood chipper one, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
where it's very don't you know, and
Oh,
It
don't
has
you
a-
know? I'm from Canada.
very specific accentation on all of the words.
Yeah.
That is more common of the more rural areas, and Fargo, Minnesota is a more rural area than like the Twin Cities. So you end up with kind of a metropolitan versus rural having a different accent in the United States. And then you have some areas that really pop heavy on their local accent, like New York City, the Massachusetts accent, very good example of that.
Yeah, but hey, you can tell a difference between a Massachusetts and a Virginian and
Yep.
a North Carolinian and a South Carolinian and
Yep.
a Georgian and a North Floridan.
Yeah, the
No, Dick
older the area, the more likely you are
The
to
more
have
north you go in
a
Florida, the more
distinct
redneck you
accent.
sound.
And then once you get to, again, like I said, I'm gonna find myself a nice Creole lady with red hair. She's gonna call
Why
me
would
sugar.
you try to be finding a Creole lady? They use the Holy Trinity when they cook.
Wait, do they?
Yeah,
Oh wait, what's the Holy Trinity? There's no
the
onions
Holy
in that.
Trinity. Yeah, it is.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
One
Fried ass
third of the Holy
crawfish and
Trinity's
small shrimp.
onion.
Well,
The Holy Trinity, when it comes to Creole, is onion, garlic, and celery. It's miracle.
That's right.
well,
Pretty much
Yes.
everything that they cook starts with the Holy Trinity.
go ahead and cue the
Yeah.
Incredible Hulk ending theme, and I'm gonna go ahead and march down the street.
I don't
So
know,
now
man.
you're
They
going to have
also
to
they
choose a
sound
new
like they
area
have Down
rather
syndrome
than that.
though.
Well, that depends on what area of Nolans they're from.
Yeah.
See, I've just been watching a lot of cooking videos on my YouTube Shorts. Has been recommending me videos. You know, I like cooking steak and all that, so I watch a lot of Guga. But I've been getting a lot of like crawfish. Now, like, time to gonna do up a crawfish gumbo straight steam. We're gonna be getting this. Man,
Oh,
I
yeah,
just cannot take them seriously.
If
The food
you
looks
go-
great, but
if you end up with like swamp people Creole, oh yeah, you'll absolutely
shit.
end up with
Swamping Creole.
Have you ever heard swamp people Creole?
No,
When
yeah,
you
I
have
have. I had
People
no,
from
and
Nolans that live out in the swamp. That's when you end up with the "What the fuck did you just say to me?"
but yo, half of it is like I struggle with it. But at the same time, it's like
the same
it's
thing with like mountain
intriguing,
people, West
you know? It's
Virginians.
like, yeah, what the hell did you just tell me? But go on.
Yeah, if you end up with like
I'd like to learn more.
Nolans proper, they will have an accent. For instance, Nolans versus New Orleans or New Orleans.
do you do today?
But
I imagined a real pretty girl sitting behind a hotel desk asking me how I'm doing today.
yeah, you end up with a very different accent from Nolans proper to the swamp people that live around Nolans. Because if you end up with someone that is from Louisiana, not from one of the major cities, but from one of the bayous, It's a very different fucking accent.
Born on the bayou.
I was just about to say, dude. I was listening to Creedence Clearwater, Born on the Bayou earlier today, and I was thinking, yeah, dude. Yes.
That's actually a good example of a real accent because it's like, down to rich bayou.
Wait,
You
so
know?
is that swamp speak or because
No, that's way more
understood
literate.
that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, swamp speak will be almost completely unintelligible.
Yeah, it sounds like mumbling with an accent, but loud mumbling.
So, you know Boomhauer from King of the Hill?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that,
Spot
but
on.
lazier sounding. And then the city, like I said, if you're from Nolans proper, you still have a bit of that slurring of your speech because you pronounce it Nolans rather than New Orleans or New Orleans. But yeah, everyone will refer to it as Nolans.
Nolans.
Yeah, it's just Nolans.
Yeah.
It isn't New Orleans. It isn't New Orleans. It's Nolans. And you end up with that kind of... There's almost a palpable... what's the best way of phrasing it? Fuck. It's kind of like this almost inhaled version of sloth about Nolans. Because everything just kind of goes a bit slower in Nolans than it seems like it should. And the longer that you're in Nolans, the slower everything goes.
Except for Louis Armstrong.
Yeah.
He's fast on the trumpet.
But it's just kind of this thing that you get used to working on Nolan's time rather than working on normal time. And Nolan's time is... Have any of you seen The Quiet Man? The Quiet Man is a fantastic movie. I've recommended it many times before. It's a John Wayne movie where John Wayne plays an American boxer that moves to this one rural part of Ireland. And at one point, he's trying to board a train. And one of the people at the station says that the Innisfree Express, the train that he's trying to go for, is just on time 4 hours late. And that is one of the best descriptions of Nolan's time that I can possibly imagine. It is just on time, several hours late. Because it becomes just such a standard thing that, yeah, Nolan's time is much slower than time everywhere else.
Why it has its own particular timing that it hits Hogwarts at a lower rate.
Yeah. 5 minutes of Nolan's is like a goddamn hour anywhere else. But it is about that time. Shall we go around the horn to give
Well,
our parting
fuck.
words? Yeah, just as you end up joining back in, unless you have something that you want to launch into, Sora.
I am currently drinking a new drink.
Ooh,
And we can we'll do these as my last words because I don't want to keep you all up. But I got
hold
a
on,
free...
are we gonna do an after party in Discord or something? Or?
Oh yeah, we can totally.
Yeah.
I mean, she just poured herself a drink. I'm gonna pour myself a drink.
I cracked open a can. That's what I did. I got it's free alcohol. They were giving them out. So samples.
Is it a Foster's? Oh wait, no,
it's a Tempo Gin Smash Mango Peach flavor.
What the hell is that?
It's delicious, is what it is.
Is that a potpourri drink?
Oh, what now? Like potpourri, like the smelly stuff?
Yeah, you know that. that fragrancy, flowery stuff.
Potpourri?
I mean,
nosegay,
it's-
potpourri.
So it's a it's a gin cocktail in a can.
Ah.
It's just it's good.
And
All right, well, I'm down for a after party. Holy shit, we lost
We lost Charming.
Charming.
people just keep on dropping out at random points.
Yeah,
You'll
No,
turn
I
back
had my
in-
power go because my brother and I share a power line, and every time he's like, I need to turn my air conditioner on. He never warns me, and it just, yeah.
Ah.
Like,
But-
I'm too hot. I need cool air to live.
If you like somewhat fruity wine, since we're talking about drinks, the black currant wine that I had was a Forest Edge black currant wine. And it was rather lovely. Like I said, I downed it in probably the first 30 to 45 minutes of the stream.
Nice.
Nice.
But it's tasty. If you like black currant, you'll probably like the black currant.
Yeah, I do. I do, definitely.
Oh yeah, I fucking love black currant. I love it. Jams, jellies, preserves,
Medicine.
wine, and the actual fruit. All of it's delicious. Oh, and also I had a black currant cider at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes.
That was the cider.
The cider was amazing, which is why I went, oh yes. Yeah, black currant cider's ridiculous. It is amazing if you can find it. And then there's also black mead, which can be somewhat difficult to find in most areas, but if you can find a black mead, give it a go.
I know you're saying mead, but I have this kind of brain set that's hearing that as meat, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure if you want to find black meat, you can find it.
That's an entirely different search, and you need to click off safe search for that.
Tractor.
Unless
Nice.
you're talking about the black chicken.
Blackened chicken.
Like,
No,
Wasn't
not
that like
blackened
blackened
chicken.
chicken, like
There's
super spicy?
There's blackened chicken, but I was talking about black chicken. There's this one specific breed of chicken that the skin is black and the meat is virtually black.
so like silky chicken.
Silky chicken's a style of cooking chicken.
Ah.
Whereas here, let me look up what the black chicken breed is. Because there's, like I said, one specific breed where the eggshells are black, the skin of the bird is black, and the meat is black.
So
Cool.
it's an entirely unique brand as opposed to some that you alter as you cook it.
Yes, this is an
Okay.
entirely unique. It is the Salmani or Samani, something like that, chicken, and it is entirely black. Here, let me see if I can pull up a image of Ayam Salmani.
Because like they have things like black apples, I think, or black. There's like there's fruits or vegetables or plants that are out there, but they just rarely you'll find just like a rose or a carnation or something.
So that's the chicken that I'm referring to.
Do I see?
On
Oh,
the
dear.
screen.
Oh my.
Oh, sorry. Let me see it. Oh,
Okay.
weird. So
Yeah.
weird.
Like I said, it is a properly black chicken in here. Let me pull up another image and it will
I
show.
wonder what does that taste like? Does it have
Hold
like
on,
a
don't-
specific taste? Does it taste like
It will show-
iodine?
I'll show the chick, the egg, the meat, and the cock for this.
Yeah, Yeah. Okay. Whew.
Like I said, it is black chicken, not blackened. It is black chicken.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's like I
Okay.
said, the egg, the
Hmm.
chick, the meat, and the cock.
Huh.
But yes, to continue on with the parting words. Who wants to go next? Shall it
Wait,
be
that's where we were at?
Yeah, we were at parting words. JenTMaxi or Adam? Which one of you wants to go next? And yes, as Samael just said, the old melanated cock. Yes.
Damn! I have a special video for y'all.
The Ayam Samani is a heavily melanated cock when you're talking about the toms of the family. And like I said, the eggs are goddamn pitch black. The chicks, the chickens, the cocks are all black, as well as the meat is black.
Do you think that like when you crack open the egg, it looks like a regular egg, or is it like the egg yolk, or like
When you crack it open, it looks like a standard egg, just has a slightly different flavor.
it just tastes, but it's still like it looks and the texture and all that's the same as.
Yep. So it's kind of like trying to explain the difference between a yam salmani or a samaniac egg and the I said yak rather than egg. I don't know why the fuck my voice caught on that weirdly. But the ayam samani egg versus a standard egg is kind of like the difference between different types of bottled water, where you can tell that there's a difference between them, but you can't really verbalize the difference. You can't vocalize the difference between them. It's just kind of I can tell when I'm drinking this versus that, but fuck, I can't explain it in a way that makes sense. It's kind of like how there's the difference between let's see, Kobe,
Yeah.
Honshu, and Hokkaido Wagyu beef. Each of them tastes different, but trying to explain the difference to someone that hasn't had them before, you're just going,
Well,
fuck,
it's
I can't really phrase it.
I've heard of people who've had ostrich eggs, like restaurants where they'll serve a whole one, like scrambled or like a whole fried egg,
Yep.
and you'll go in with a group of people because like it's not a 1-person egg, it's more like an 8-person egg.
Yep.
Yeah, they're like, it tastes like a regular egg. Like you can see it on the plate that it's not a regular egg because it's an ostrich egg. It's a gigantic egg, but they're like, it tastes like an egg, but it's a little bit different. Like it's you can see enjoying it as a regular egg, but that's why they say to scramble
images
it.
of ostriches in your head while you're eating it. Like,
Yeah, actually, I can see people doing that. Yeah, they do recommend like it's better scrambled than as a fried egg, just because you don't get as much of that mental image. Because it just looks like somebody used a flat of eggs to make you scrambled eggs, you know?
Can't say what life is.
Though ostrich meat is absolutely delicious.
I agree.
So, Jen, do you have anything else that you want to add as your parting words?
No, but now I have that image of that. I can't remember what animation did it, but the one with the flying ostrich.
Nice. Adam, do you have any parting words that you want to toss in?
Yeah. I'm glad I had an opportunity to jump on. It's been rare this date and time, and for the foreseeable future. But hopefully, I'll be able to jump on and chat with you all again.
Yay!
It's kind of sad we lost a guy throughout the show.
It just fell out in like the past 20 minutes.
Yeah. Hope he's doing well.
Probably connection issues.
But other than that, it was fun. It's always a fun time chatting with you folks. And as always, God bless, and I love y'all.
Thanks for putting up with my crap comic, Adam.
And I'll leave off with my standard of, if you're passionate about something, make sure that you devour it. Don't let it devour you. And it sounds like we're all in agreement that we'll be popping over to the VC channels over on the Minions Discord. So if you want to jump in on the post-stream chat and bullshit with us as the night wears on,
I'll bring my
feel
booze.
free to jump in. And I will try to figure out something else that I can drink while I'm doing so. Because, yeah, I'm been out of wine for like the past hour and a half. So I need to find something else to drink. With that, though, have a good night all. The zoo is closed.
Good night.
Good night, guys.